Hello, Internet. Welcome to Only Kind of Everything. And we are on the eve of WWE Elimination Chamber. And you know what that means. I have gotten a couple minutes and I am going to let you know who I think is going to be coming out on top of WWE Elimination Chamber. Now, we're going to start right off with the Women's Elimination Chamber. I do think that probably is going to start the show. The question is who really stands the biggest to benefit from it? I realistically actually think most of the individuals in this match probably have something going on interlocking each other that would take them into WrestleMania. I kind of think Alexa Bliss is going to win this one. It feels like a good fit to me. Bliss is kind of the only one, in my opinion, who doesn't have anything major going on going into WrestleMania. So to me, it makes the most sense. And it's a good way to reestablish Alexa at the top of the food chain, at least in terms of contention and kind of pecking order. It'll be a good way to be like, hey, Alexa Bliss is still a big deal. The next match we're going to talk about is going to be the tag team match between Nia Jax and her crony versus Trish Stratus and her crony, which that's not necessarily meant to be offensive, but I kind of feel like that's really the bigger story. It's not a knock on Candace or anything. I do think that the problem with this match is that I feel like it's kind of a throwaway. It's there to be there. I don't... Unless they're doing something going into WrestleMania with Trish Stratus, which I wouldn't be against, I think this is just a victory for Trish Stratus. I don't think there's anything outside of that. It'll be an okay match. I just don't think it's a match that really needs to be there. Now, normally we don't talk about segments, but it is an important segment we're going to be talking about. The Rock returns and he wants Cody's soul. Which, if he takes Cody's soul, where's Cody going to put his adrenaline? That's a terrible joke. I feel bad for saying that, and you're probably going to roast me for saying it. Let's be honest, though. I think this segment is more of a way to get Cody Rhodes onto the event without having him work, because there really isn't a match for him right now. I think a lot of people are like, man, if Cody takes this, we finally get heel Cody. And although, yes, I agree that a heel Cody is going to be infinitely better than face Cody Rhodes, something that has to be considered in that conversation is that there really isn't a face at the top of the card, or really at any level right now, that is as over as Cody, with the exception of maybe Jey Uso, but I don't know that Jey Uso is the next face of the company. And that's kind of the issue with Cody turning heel right now. Yeah, you have Cena and whatnot, but Cena isn't going to be around this time next year. So unless John Cena is going to start, really hammering in and being at the shows far more regularly, a heel Cody Rhodes, in my best estimation, doesn't do the WWE any good. I think that the whole, Rock's champion, that whole line is probably going to go to somebody who is going to turn heel. Maybe John Cena himself. He's done it all, won it all, but especially if Cena loses in the Elimination Chamber, Cena kind of taking up and being like, you know what, I'm gonna do what's best for business. If you kind of listen to that promo he cut after the Royal Rumble, It definitely seemed like Cena was a little more heelish in talking about that this run was for him and not for us, and he was going to do what was best for him. So it does make me think that John Cena could potentially, if Cody turns down The Rock's offer, that perhaps John Cena picks it up and we finally get that heel John Cena. And I know some people say, well, that doesn't make sense, but Edge proved to some extent, and Trish Stratus even well more so than Edge did, proved that you can have a Legends run and it not necessarily just be about being, oh, look at me, happy good guy. Trish Stratus, Edge tried, it wasn't as good. People weren't ready to boo him yet. But Trish Stratus proved that you can definitely do a Legends run and be a heel. So I think the bulk of that segment is really going to be Cody Rhodes turning The Rock down. That's the gist of what that segment I think is going to end up being. Which moves us to the next match, if you will, because this is likely going to be the unsanctioned match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, this is going to be great, it's going to be a war, and I do think it's going to be great and it's going to be a war. But if people are expecting what these two were doing back in Ring of Honor, in the unsanctioned match that they had in Ring of Honor, this is not going to be that. They're older. That's the thing. It's not that I think WWE would, to an extent, would let them get away with a lot of like the violence because it wasn't a lot of bloody violence. It was just a lot of like, wow, that move looks painful type of violence, which WWE is okay with. But I do think that it's something to consider, that the storyline is a little bit more important in this aspect. And I do think it has to be considered that Randy Orton will be back much sooner than later. And I could very easily see Randy Orton making his presence felt either during or after this. It's just, to me, it makes too much sense. As far as winner goes, I do think that Kevin Owens is going to win this match. It is unfortunate, if you watch my predicting WrestleMania way too early video, if you watch any video I have talked about recently in terms of kind of what might or might not be on WrestleMania, I've been fairly adamant that I thought that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were going to have a war at WrestleMania. That doesn't look to necessarily be the case now. And I kind of hope that I'm wrong and, we do get that. But if it's not, they have to separate those two Saturday night. You can't really do it much later because you have to start building the WrestleMania match for Kevin and Sami, because I highly doubt you're going to leave either of those two off of WrestleMania. And the logical steps for each of them is Karrion Kross for Sami Zayn, which Sami kind of has to take a loss against Kevin Owens to really add fuel to that fire. And in turn, Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens makes a lot of sense because Kevin Owens is the guy who took Randy Orton out of the equation for so long. I could see Kevin getting the win and then going to do more damage, and that's when we see Randy Orton make a return. Then we're going to move on to our main event, the Men's Elimination Chamber. Very similar to the women's, with a little bit more difficulty in prediction. I think it's telling that several of the people in that match are probably in that match with who they're going to be facing at WrestleMania. I do really think, and I don't know how I feel about it, CM Punk and Logan Paul are going to be at WrestleMania against each other. I don't really know how I feel about that. I know in the Cody Rhodes segment I mentioned John Cena losing so that he would have that, like, oh, let me go to The Rock. But I do think Cena... I think Cena could use the win here. Although the thing is I really think it's down to either CM Punk or John Cena who's going to win this. I don't know that Rollins is going to win this. I would like him. I don't even know if I want Rollins to win that, to be honest. He's really good, but I don't know that I want Rollins to win. I think it is down to Punk and Cena, which is interesting because in like my own head canon here, each one of those guys has a different in to the main event or to WrestleMania in general. CM Punk with his Paul Heyman favor and John Cena potentially aligning with The Rock. So honestly, I think that's probably one of the harder outcomes to call simply because of that. It would be nice if Bronson Reed was magically healed up and able to make his presence felt. But I do think that CM Punk winning makes a lot of sense here. But in the same breath, like, the winner is facing Cody Rhodes. And, you know, I kind of talked myself into even saying Rollins makes a good candidate here because Rollins and Cody have really good chemistry. I just don't know if we need a fourth match between these two, especially when Cody has definitively won that feud. I believe it's 3-0 in favor of Cody. I guess if I had to pull the trigger on somebody, I'd say John Cena. Even though I think the story makes more sense for Cena to lose. I just don't know who warrants that main event spot against Cody Rhodes. I mean, I guess theoretically we could all be Swerve and it'd be Logan Paul, but I don't know. We will find out Saturday night, and I look forward to seeing that. I hope you guys are looking forward to watching it. If you have any predictions, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I will see every one of you in the next video. Bye!